Here we go. Adam the Bull is back on FT, host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's a great show. You can find it on YouTube. Host of the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian Show and of the Bullpen podcast, Dude Knows Ball. Adam, good to see you, man. How's everything?
Good to see you guys, and thank you, Scott. And I heard what you just said about the Guardians, how they don't spend and we get pissed off about it. I've been getting angry about that for the 15 years I've been covering this team. But they do have success. They have a really good front office, but the only similarity, though, with the White Sox, which is really interesting, is that, David Blitzer, who's much richer than the current owner, Paul Dolan, he bought a minority stake in the team a few years back and is supposed to eventually be the majority owner. And even though the Guardians have had a good level of success with Paul Dolan, most of the fans want him out. And we want I know sometimes be careful what you wish for, but we assume that the payroll will go up with Blitzer. But it's been years now, and you just talked about how the White Sox are going to have this new owner, but it may be a decade. Well, it's been a number of years for the Guardians. We still don't know when Blitzer is going to be the majority stakeholder, but we all want it to happen because the Guardians' payroll needs to be significantly higher. And if it was, man, what a difference it would make with the talent they have in the front office.
I agree. The front office talent is exceptional. They have done an incredible job. I know we've talked about this over the last few years, and I will say to Cleveland fans, you're not really in the conversation right now for ownership complaints. You can do it within the city, but when it comes to the national perspective, we can come up with a long list of names to complain about before we get to Cleveland. So they have to deal with what they've got right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That it is what it is. So where are we at on this? Yeah. You know, I mean, hey, I'm here for it, right? I agree. I'm just saying that I get life perspective when we talk about the White Sox and the A's and the Pirates and the Rockies. Like, right, we're easily rattling off names before we even can consider Cleveland's situation. But it is good to hear that maybe eventually there'll be a transition and they can spend a little because, Adam, last year this team goes to the ALCS. This year, I don't give a crap about run differential. The results on the field right now have been good enough to be a playoff contender. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing from the Guardians this year? And do you think they can replicate what they did last year? I don't care if it is a different route to get them there, if it's a wild card team and eventually we're seeing them play in an ALDS or an ALCS. Do you think that this team's capable of that?
I do. And it's a very different team than last year, even though it's a lot of the same faces. The lineup was surprisingly good last year, and they ended up middle of the pack in home runs, which was a shocker. And they haven't hit for as much power this year. The bullpen hasn't been quite as good. It's still really good, but it hasn't been quite as good. Although Clase, who got off to a terrible start, as you know, has been much, much better after that really bad start. But I think the difference this year could be the starting pitching. We're used to the Guardians consistently having good starting pitching. They did not have good starting pitching last year for the most part. I think Tanner Bybee, I've been talking about, obviously, Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams the last few years. And I see these guys pitch and the stuff they have, and I just think there's no limit to how good those two guys can be. I especially am a huge Gavin Williams guy. And I just think, Bybee's kind of really putting it together now, even though he's had a few bad starts here and there. I like, with Gavin Williams, I feel like sometimes he tinkers too much. I didn't play in the big leagues. He does. Two of you three guys played in the big leagues, so you know better than me. But he's got such great stuff. And I just feel like there are times in games where he's afraid to challenge hitters. And he shouldn't be because he's so good. It's like he doesn't trust his stuff enough at times, and that has led to his inconsistency, and that has led to him not being able to go as deep into games as I would like. But I still think he's a really good at worst number 3. And with Shane Bieber making his second rehab start tomorrow in Akron, I mean it's trending towards him being back in a month. We know how great this guy is when he's healthy. So maybe unfairly or unfairly, I'm expecting Shane Bieber to be an ace for the final 3 months or at least the final 2 months of the season. Luis Ortiz, for all the complaints we made about that trade, he's been very good. Saccone has shown signs of good stuff, and Logan Allen as a fifth starter is I don't love him, but he's adequate enough. And I just think the Guardians pitching, their starting pitching, and ultimately their entire pitching staff can play with any team in the league. Now they've got to get better on offense. They're going to have to make some trades. There's too many holes in the lineup. But I think their pitching staff will give them a chance in the postseason to compete with the Yankees and compete with the Tigers. Everybody else is kind of mediocre. And the Tigers are playing over their skis a little bit, don't we think?
I don't know about that. The American League in general is just kind of meh compared to the National League. So that's not going to change. Cleveland's not going to the National League until they switch from a two division set and no more American League, National League. But that's years down the road. Right. Do you feel like when you watch this team day in and day out, you talked about the starting rotation being better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they need to throw longer into games and Stephen Vogt has to stop having such a hook? Or are you going to keep rolling the dice that in July and August, this epic bullpen that was epic last year, pitched all the way in October, is really tired and is tired again already this year? They need to step up. Do you think Voter will allow that? Or do you think they're just going to keep rolling the dice?
Unfortunately, I think I agree with everything you said. They killed the bullpen. Those guys were completely overworked and they were shot by the end of the season. And I am certainly concerned about it. I think the guys will go a little longer as the season goes because they are more capable. But I totally agree that he's had a way too quick a hook. Like last night, let's say Luis Ortiz get out of that sixth inning. I know he gave up a 2-out hit. I know Bellinger's coming up. Let him get out of that. I feel like too often he doesn't, and maybe that's the old school mentality that I'm sure you guys have for playing back in the day, but like I want to see these starters let him get the third out. When I see a pitcher end with 2/3 of an inning, it drives me nuts. Let him get that third out. I think a lot of the new school thinking, and I'm all about analytics. I get it. I'm not some idiot who's going to come on here and say analytics are stupid. No, that would be stupid. But sometimes you got to just let a pitcher grind through, and that helps him, in those situations when it matters later in the season. And he's got to learn how to get out of these innings. In terms of Gavin Williams and Bybee to some degree, although he's getting better, they become too obsessed with the strikeout, I think, so much. And the Guardians, even though they got off to a little bit of a slow start this year, are generally a very strong defensive team. And sometimes there's too much, not enough challenging it with 2 outs to try to get that strikeout instead of having that quick inning. That's one of the things that makes Clase so great outside of the playoffs last year and the first few weeks of this year is that he doesn't get a million strikeouts even with his stuff. They put the ball in play, they make weak contact, and that's why he has 10 pitch innings. So we need more of that. So some of it's on the pitchers. But I think yes, I'm with you, Eric. I think he's got to give him a chance to go longer because you can't wear these guys out. And it is happening again this year. And it's going to kill him at the end of the year again if they continue to do this the whole season. I'm hoping with Shane Bieber coming back, obviously, at first they're going to be very careful. But by, August, September, hopefully he's going 7+ innings. And that'll really help. It'll trickle down the line and help them with saving the bullpen a bit.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, Adam. As much as you want it to, it's not going to happen. No team is doing this. No team.
I know they all do it.
No team does this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I do it. I do it in Little League, AJ. I got my kids pitching 150. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
You sound like Kratz. You sound like Kratz in his high school team. All right, throwing his kids 150 pitches in 3 innings. I don't understand. But
I'm going against an undefeated team tonight. I'm going against an undefeated team tonight. We got to hand them their first loss of the year. It's a big game.
Oh, boy. Go get them. Good luck. Good luck. But my question is, you can have all the pitching you want. How's this team going to score runs? I mean, Jose Ramirez, I know they're doing a little better. Some guys have been better. But can this team score enough runs offensively to win? The pitching is great. The pitching's been great for the Guardians forever. But they can't score. How do they score runs?
Can we get the 90s lineups to join this team? They'll never lose. I was just watching a video, guys. It was like the lineup from like May of, I want to say 96, might have been 97. And I'm seeing like Manny Ramirez hitting 7th, Jim Thome hitting 8th. I'm like, what is going on? Sandy Alomar hitting 9th. I'm like, well, this is crazy that they never won a World Series. But no, they're not going to hit. First of all, the Guardians drive me crazy. As much as I respect Antonetti and Chernoff, the Guardians front office, they're great. I know them, for the most part, they do an excellent job. With the prospects, it drives you nuts. Like CJ Kafis is one of their better prospects. He's a first baseman DH. Okay, you got Santana, you got Manzardo. I get it. But they've been playing him in the outfield now for a month. He killed it in Akron at AA. He killed it in Columbus at AAA. He's a big dude. He's got power. Okay, maybe he's not that good a fielder. I don't care. You got John Kenzie Noel's batting 100. He's like the worst player in baseball right now. Do you guys know? Do you guys know the last Guardians outfielder to hit 20 home runs? Not 30, not 40. Do you know who the last Guardians outfielder was to hit 20 home runs in a season? Does any of you guys know that?
Tyler Naquin.
Not Tyler Naquin. It's not quite as crazy as Manny Ramirez, but it was Michael Brantley 11 years ago. You haven't had a single outfielder hit 20 home runs. I thought he was an Astro. Or maybe it was 2012. I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2014 now off the top of my head. Whatever, that 1 year with the Guardians, I mean, he played for the Indians, obviously, for a number of years. But they haven't had one guy, not one, hit 20 home runs. This team's going to get 3 guys do that every year. They haven't had one. Bring up Kafis. Let's see what he's got. Chase DeLauder's healthy. Can I see him in the big leagues? These are your best prospects. They don't want to call him up. And they don't want to trade him either to get veterans. So what the hell are we doing? So that's why I'm frustrated and the fans are frustrated.
Just letting them marinate. You brought up Jackenzie Noel. Big Christmas.
Yeah.
Is he a product of – and obviously he's not having a good year, but they try to get the most value out of platoons that they can. You think they're trying to get more value out of something? It's like squeezing water out of a rock. Like, do they see what they have? I mean, they had Nolan Jones, and they were like, wow, this Nolan Jones guy, outfielder, goes off to play for Colorado, hits some bangerangs, then he gets traded back. It's almost like they're not seeing what they've developed starting pitching very well historically in the organization. Do they not see what they have when they have it in a power-hitting outfielder? Because we're specifically talking about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're like a 10 of evaluating pitching and developing pitching, and they're a 0 at developing. It seems like the only hitters that ever pan out with the Guardians, like homegrown, are guys that came out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. Jose Ramirez was not a big prospect. Now, Lindor was, obviously. Lindor was a huge prospect. But since Lindor, there's like no big hitting prospects in this organization that ever pan out. If they do, it's somewhere else. You know, and yes, they have had real trouble trying to figure out whose power is real, who's not. And I feel like often they don't give guys enough of an opportunity. Nolan Jones was a top prospect. They never really gave him a chance. Then they shipped him off. He has the great year in 23, struggles last year, and obviously he has struggled here again. Will Benson, you know, it's been up and down, obviously, with him in Cincinnati, but they didn't give him all that much of a chance. Meanwhile, they've tried Will Brennan like 52 times. The guy can't hit. I don't know what they're seeing here. And John Kenzie, I feel bad for the guy. We all love him. We love the nickname. He had a clutch home run in the playoffs last year. I mean, he's a very popular here. But I can't understand why he's still in the big leagues. And he's not going to get better in a platoon. Like, once you guys know this way better than I do, if you're in a platoon situation and you're playing twice a week and you're in a massive slump, like, you're not getting out of that. It's just not happening. He needs to get at-bats, regular at-bats at AAA. I just don't get what they're doing.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.